Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you see me there, it was another week of not feeling well, and so rather than make you suffer through my coughing and sniffling, I decided that I would actually do another voiceover. On this day, my plan was to sort out the remaining tomatoes which I had on the side ripening, the plan being to can them so that I would have them ready for stews as and when I started to need them. Now, some of you may have seen my previous video where I actually showed you how I go about processing and canning my tomatoes, but I feel like some of the details were not as clear. Now, a key thing in the process is making sure your tomatoes are cleaned properly, and in my case I used a little bit of vinegar in order to add a little bit of extra antibacterial to them. Now, the plan was to use my pressure canner, which I love a lot, to do this canning for these tomatoes, and to ensure that I don't actually get a lot of white deposits on the jars as well as in the saucepan itself. I added a little bit of vinegar before adding the water, and that would keep the water clear and keep the jars clean during the canning process. I usually start to heat up the water whilst I prep the tomatoes, because sometimes it can take a little bit of time to heat up to where I want it to be by the time I'm actually going to use it. Truth be told, I lost some of my tomatoes because I was putting off doing this, because as you can see, it takes a long time to process tomatoes, and next year my plan is to make sure I don't have as many. Now, when I have tomatoes, my worms get tomatoes as well, so all the cuttings I wasn't going to use, anything that was rotten or a little bit off, was given to my babies, and I'm sure they were extremely happy with the gift I gave them on this day. Something I've discovered is that habanero peppers are absolutely fantastic. I was gifted some seeds by Ali from my rusty garden, and all I can say is there's nothing better than having the flavor of habanero chili peppers without the heat to them. So what I normally do is I prep my tomatoes, and then before I can them, I put sliced habanero peppers in without having cooked them. And all I can say is the tomato sauce you get is absolutely delicious. You could use it as a side to a dish, or you could use it to make a stew. And if you want the heat, you can always add some chili powder to them. But I love them. I love them, and I will be growing them again next year. These were some of my hydroponic peppers, sweet peppers, which didn't get a chance to ripen. I managed to harvest quite a lot of ripe ones, and I gifted them, but those ones did not get to ripen. And I must say, my green stock with all the garlic in it is looking gorgeous. The calendula is still giving me so much joy, and even the nasturtiums are still alive, which is so nice to see. In the coming year, I don't plan to join the giant onion challenge. However, I must say I enjoyed it this season, and the onions are being used. They come in very handy when you've got so many tomatoes to process, because it means that you can achieve the amount of onion you need without necessarily having to go through the process of peeling so many. And having a chopper such as this is also fantastic. Now I know it's easy enough to process tomatoes by just putting them in, chopping them and putting them into jars and actually canning them that way. However, by doing the first level prep that you would do where you to be using them to make stews, it makes your life much easier. It means when it comes to cooking, all you need to do is add your seasonings, your meat or your beans, and Bob's your uncle. Once the tomatoes are in the jar, a crucial step that you should make sure you complete is wiping down the neck and the tops of the jars very well with vinegar and then drying them off. You need to make sure that all food residue is off in order that when you put the lids on, the seals will form properly. Dirty tops can actually affect the sealing process and result in jars that are not properly sealed. And that is a hassle because you then have to do them again. So I've learned to always be careful when doing this process. Once the jars are in the pan, all you need to do is turn the heat up and let the pressure canner vent for at least 10 minutes before you then turn the dial up to number 2 in the UK in order that the pressure can be raised to that level. And once the pressure is up to that level, the tomatoes will be ready within 15 to 20 minutes. So I normally do about 20 to 25 minutes. Guys, I'm sorry, I ran out of memory on my phone. So I had to delete a few bits and pieces, but basically this is the last one of the jars. I had to put this one back in because it had not sealed. So these ones here had sealed, but this one had not sealed, and as a result it spilled here. So I put it back in order that I could actually re-jig it in the hope that it will seal this time, and I'm hoping that it will have sealed, because one of the key signs that it will seal tends to be that it comes out looking like this, boiling away. Last time it didn't, and I don't worry despite the fact that it has sealed already, because normally sometimes they come out with this not quite denting in. This one came out not denting in, but as it sat here boiling for a while, ends up denting in. So I've got myself some more jars of tomatoes all sorted out. I'm happy it's done on a day when I'm not feeling that well, but you know what? Time waits for no man and no woman. So I'm pleased that I've managed to achieve this despite the fact that I was not feeling well. So this is my last lot of tomatoes for 2025, canned and ready for consumption when I have a stew to add them to. All right, guys, have a good one.